Hello, everyone. Welcome and thanks for joining us in our session about SAP and Microsoft AI. What you can do with combining Microsoft AI technology with SAP applications. We have quite a few interesting demo scenarios for you, so I hope you will enjoy it. Before we go there, we were asked to show you a quick introduction, some fun facts about ourselves. So I'll get started. My name is Holger Bruchelt. I'm part of the product management team for SAP integration. So feel free to ask me anything that is related to SAP, Microsoft and SAP, obviously. But if you ever come to Germany, to the beautiful city of Speyer in Germany, then I welcome you also to a tour to my hometown Speyer. I'm an official certified tour guide for Speyer. So, but enough of Speyer and myself. SAP and Microsoft, we have been partners for a very, very long time. And this partnership, this relation that we have with SAP is in the meantime covering a lot of different areas. So obviously there's the infrastructure topics, running your SAP system on Microsoft infrastructure. But then we have a lot of other value-adding services where we're working very, very closely with SAP to help you get the best out of running your SAP system on the Microsoft infrastructure. So when it comes to security, when it comes to data, when it comes to low-code, when it comes to integrating in Microsoft 365, for example, there are a lot of areas where we have been working very, very closely with SAP over the years. So there are a lot of things out there. What we do want to focus on today is really the layer, the outer layer of AI. What can you do with Copilot? What things are available out of the box for you that you can leverage? What are some of the scenarios where you can take our tools that we are providing to create your very own Copilot integrations? What are things that we from a Microsoft side are delivering out of the box for you that you can leverage in your company? So these are a few things that we want to show you today, basically really things that are available immediately today. So right after the session, you can go home or whatever and install, configure it, and get ready. Some other things where we are talking about the future, where we are still very much developing together with SAP to give you some really, really cool scenarios. To show you one of these first really cool scenarios, let me actually hand over to Rima.
Thank you, Holger. Awesome. All right, great. Hi, folks. My name is Rima Reyes. I am a principal product manager on the Copilot ecosystem engineering team. Today, we're going to be talking about SAP Joule inside of M365 Copilot. Ooh, there we go. Oh, I went too far. OK, there we go. So if folks are interested in connecting with me, this is my URL on LinkedIn. It's aka.ms/Rima, so feel free to connect with me on there. I am from DC. You'll see actually another speaker, Robert, is from DC as well. This is a picture of a place that I used to work at, actually, about 9 years ago before I joined Microsoft. So I worked there for about 6.5 years. Joined Microsoft, like I said, 9 years ago, and have been loving it ever since. And then we have our little mascot here, my dog Levi, who is I think the official golden doodle of Copilot. He knows a lot about it. He also has learned a lot about SAP Joule. So if we need to have him at a presentation in the future, I'm happy to bring him. All right, so let's talk about SAP inside of M365 Copilot. So we knew we had a big challenge that we had to overcome. We had customers who were having siloed conversations in various platforms. They were switching. There was a lot of context switching between different windows, between different apps. And they had to remember which digital assistant they needed to talk to and when to ask that assistant what question. It was a little confusing. It is a little confusing today, right? Also, AI responses weren't bringing together data from both M365 and SAP into a single response. So people wanted a more blended, integrated response pattern. So SAP and Microsoft came together. We said, we're going to build the future together. I see some of our SAP friends here. And we said, hey, let's try to figure out how we can build a bidirectional, multi-agent, multi-platform solution, bringing both Joule from SAP and M365 Copilot together. And so when we come together with this bidirectional solution, we have an incredible benefit, which is a seamless interface. So regardless of which interface you're in, whether you're in SAP Joule or whether you're in M365 Copilot, you'll be able to ask questions on both sides and get very similar answers from data from both environments, which is absolutely revolutionary. This is one of the first and very few partners to do this. We at Microsoft are very excited to enable this right now. So initially, we're launching a few features, a few capabilities. We've got a long roadmap, so don't worry. This is not just a one-time thing. We'll be here to stay for quite a while. We have a long-term goal where we want to have more agentic communication, a more deeply ingrained solution. So stay tuned, because there's a lot more coming. So I'm going to focus on user experience because I think people really like to see what things look like, right? Versus having text on slides. Here is an initial look. On the left side, you see Copilot. Here we're invoking Joule directly inside of Copilot. I'll show you more in just a bit. And on the right side, this is where a user is actually in Joule, inside of SAP Start, invoking Copilot and M365 data directly from the Joule interface. So remember, when we say bidirectional, this truly is bidirectional. You can start from either side and still get the same response. So very shortly, we're going to be releasing Joule as a custom engine agent within Copilot. You'll be able to invoke it in different ways. You'll be able to access it within Microsoft Teams, as well as M365 Home. As you can see on the right-hand side there is a Joule app. That's an agent. We call all of those things on the right-hand side agents. So you'll be able to click on that. You will get an agent home screen, very similar to this. And you will get some suggested prompts right in the middle, just in case if you don't know how to start. You can also type in your own question as well. It's really, really flexible. Here is another example of how you can @mention Joule, again, within the context of Copilot. So another really exciting way that you can interact with agents. In the future, you'll be able to @mention Joule inside of group conversations and inside of Teams meetings. All right, so let's get to a short demo here. OK. So in this scenario, Priya is an employee at Spire&Co. and is the project lead for a new electric car her company is building. She was recently informed of an issue at one of their manufacturing plants and needs to look into it. Priya knows that her SAP AI assistant, called Joule, can help her dig into the issue, and she opens Microsoft Teams and navigates the Joule agent available in M365 Copilot. Priya asks Joule to provide her details on failures happening at the manufacturing plant in Maryland. And then Joule responds, and Joule is able to find failure root causes from SAP sources and is also able to find relevant Outlook emails and chats from Microsoft Teams. Now I'm going to pause here for just a second, because this is a really great example. Hopefully folks can see the chat or the text on the screen here. But the Joule agent inside of Copilot is able to bring insights from both the SAP world and the Microsoft world, bring that together in a single response back to the user. There's so much more coming, but on day one, I know folks are probably really interested in what can I do on day one. So a few scenarios that I just wanted to highlight here verbally. You'll be able to streamline HR processes by bringing additional insights from emails and chats. You'll be able to instantly share sales order updates to colleagues in Teams or Outlook. And you'll be able to improve strategy planning and execution by bringing information from Joule into M365 to streamline requests or create action items. All right, so I'll pause there, and I'll go on to the rest of the scenario. So here, Priya wants to know more about item number 2 in the response, where the Michelin vehicle tire is low in stock. So Joule is able to provide more details on the issue and informs her of recent delays with delivery. Joule also provides other suppliers who are able to ship the tire to the plant. Unfortunately, all of these suppliers have really long delivery times and can't meet production deadlines. So Priya decides she's going to escalate to her manager and asks Joule to help her draft a message. So Joule helps Priya draft this chat message to her manager, Sam, informing him of the production block of their new electric vehicle. And so Priya reviews the message Joule has created and asks to send it on her behalf. So Joule confirms that the message is good, and off it goes to Priya's manager, Sam.
Priya's manager.
There we go. So Sam is Priya's manager. Sam sees the message from Priya and immediately knows he needs to find a new compatible tire and supplier fast. So Sam knows Joule can help, and he opens the Joule agent within Copilot. Sam remembers creating an Excel file with all the compatible tires like a while ago. He says, hey, you know, I want to get Joule to help me find it. Let me see what I can do. So Joule is able to find that file very quickly that Sam needs. And Sam asks Joule to find a supplier that can provide one-day shipping based on the list of tires in the spreadsheet. So again, we've got an Excel spreadsheet inside of M365, and Joule's able to parse through that and get that information. Joule is also able to query SAP data and sees that TireMart has the Bridgestone tire available for one-day shipping. And Sam wants to make sure, hey, you know, does TireMart really, are they up to the task here? Do they have enough in stock for the production line? And he asks Joule about being able to meet production demands for their new electric car. So Joule queries SAP and is able to find the amount of stock plus how long this will meet production needs. Sam wants to make sure his team is all in alignment with this decision, right? He can't just move forward on his own. He's got to ask his teammates, you know, they agree with this decision. So he asks Joule to schedule a meeting with his team so that they can all concur on this decision. Joule confirms the details of the newly scheduled meeting, and off it goes. So this is one example of many to come in the very near future of how Joule and Microsoft Copilot and M365 can actually work together. So for all of us out there who are a little bit more interested in how this all works, this is a light architecture diagram of what's really going on. It's very complicated actually behind the scenes, but don't worry, this isn't anything that you're going to have to worry about. We've done a lot of the hard work for you. So in here, when a user actually sends a response through Copilot into the Joule agent, it gets sent to Azure into the bot service, to the Joule Teams bot, sends over the natural language user utterance over to the Joule API. Joule processes a lot of this information in the back behind the scenes and decides, hey, I think a portion of this response needs to go to an AI assistant that's going to call graph. The AI assistant determines this portion, yes, we need to go get some emails, we need to go get some chats, sends that converted response back over to Joule, and Joule brings both of those data sets together from both SAP and the AI assistant and graph, and actually sends it back to the user inside of the Joule agent in Copilot. This is phase one. We've got a lot more coming in phase two, so again, stay tuned. For folks who are interested, we have an AI assistant that's sitting behind the scenes, again, in phase one. These are some of the initial skills that we have available. We've got email skills, calendar skills, chat skills, and document skills. Again, we've got a lot more coming. You'll notice document actions are coming soon, and RAG with document content is also coming soon as well. I see some of you taking pictures. That's awesome. That's great. And we'll have these slides available after as well. So with that, I'm actually going to switch it over to Holger, my other co-engineering lead here, and he's going to talk about timeline and how you can sign up as a customer. Thanks, everybody.
So as Rima was saying, this is currently something that is in active development. We are here to announce the sign-up of our private preview program, basically, or of our beta program, where we are looking to, first of all, get a list of customers who are actually interested in. We will have a vetting process, basically, where we look if everything is in place that qualifies for joining the private preview program. But really, at the end of the year or beginning of next year, we really want to get started with this. As Rima was saying, this is really just the starting point. We want to get your feedback. We want to see what are some areas where we are missing functionalities. So this is really a very, very active development project. At the same time, we are already seeing that there's so much dynamic in the Copilot, in the Joule development, that we are already looking at a phase two step, where we are really then trying to add additional functionalities, add new features, add new architectures in this kind of integration, which we will definitely work on throughout next year. The plan, but keep in mind, this is subject to change, that later next year we also want to go GA with this solution, so you can really also use this in production. So if you are interested, then go to aka.ms/Copilot Joule. we have a QR code. This is basically a Microsoft Forms where you fill out some data like contact information, what do you want to do, and so on. So yeah, just let us know if you're interested to join. So the interesting thing is this is really a very strategic co-development between SAP and Microsoft. And it will certainly not end next year. This is really something long-term. Now, at the same time, what we heard from a lot of customers is that there is a requirement for this Copilot integration. And actually, we have been working with the SAP S/4HANA public cloud team for quite some time on a much deeper integration of S/4HANA public cloud into Microsoft. So basically, I think over 2 years ago, we started our journey in integrating S/4HANA public cloud in Microsoft Teams. We're working there with a fantastic team at SAP who very early on embraced the Teams apps and looked how can we help customers that are working with SAP to collaborate in a more efficient way. Actually, 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, the owner from S/4HANA Public Cloud, had very early on a fantastic vision about an autonomous ERP system, very much like the whole world is right now talking about. And in his vision, it was the SAP system does a lot of things automatically, but collaboration is getting even more important in these scenarios. And that's where we set out to really integrate S/4HANA Public Cloud in Teams. So for a lot of months, we have been working on that one. So it was just a logical step to see how can we evolve this to a Copilot integration in Teams. Unlike the Joule and Copilot integration, that is obviously much broader and has a much bigger scope, with this integration that we developed, it's really focused on S/4HANA Public Cloud. Since we have been developing on this for quite some time, this is actually something that is available today. So if you, and I'll show a link in a second, if you are an S/4HANA Public Cloud customer, you can actually really use this as is today. So let me here quickly show you how this looks like. I'm here, as you can see, in Microsoft Teams. I have the S/4HANA Public Cloud extension for Copilot here in AI, which means I can, for example, just ask, show me what are actually the things that I can actually do with this Copilot extension. So I can just show me the details, and I get a nice rendering of functionalities that are available in this Copilot chat. Now, the next thing is I can really ask for return orders for certain social parties. Again, natural language. I'm interacting with Teams. This Copilot extension basically connects live to the SAP system and fetches here relevant information. So I get a list of all these different custom returns that are available in the SAP system or tracked in the SAP system. Now I can also go into more details. I can ask, well, show me the return details of this specific order. And again, I get a live view inside the SAP system with data from for this specific return order. And now let's say I want to interact. I need to reach out now to my colleague. I can ask Copilot, please create an email for me, leveraging the information that you just fetched from our SAP system. And now with this, I could obviously then just send this email. I can broaden the scope and say, look, show me a list of sales orders in my SAP system. And again, we make this live call into SAP, the list of these sales orders. And obviously, I have here only a summary in Teams. And now if I want to do even more, then I can, it's just one click away to really go into the full-fledged user interface of SAP S/4HANA Public Cloud, where then I can use all the functionalities that are there. So with this integration, and we have quite a few customers already now leveraging this for S/4HANA Public Cloud, you can easily interact with your SAP system from Teams, but whenever it's required, you can also easily jump back to your S/4HANA system and continue the work there. So similar like with the Joule and Copilot, if you are interested, if you are an S/4HANA Public Cloud customer, here is the sign-up page where you can get access to all the relevant functionalities, to the plugin and so on. But if you want to play around, I think this is really a fantastic integration. With this, so we've talked about the Joule and Copilot integration. We talked about the existing Copilot integration in S/4HANA Public Cloud. let me actually hand over to Robert to show you a little more things of what you can do if you want to develop some of these scenarios yourself.
Thanks, Holger. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Robert Hernandez. I lead a product management team here at Microsoft. I also live in Washington, D.C. However, I did not ever work at the White House. I actually spent about 20 years working at SAP. So I ran teams at SAP focused on analytics, on S/4HANA, as well as custom development and extension at SAP. Now I've moved over to Microsoft, but I'm still very much focused on how do I bring extensions and business-specific functionality to my business processes here at Microsoft. Now, one of the questions you may ask is, hey, Holger, Rima, those were great examples of how I can utilize out-of-the-box capabilities built by Microsoft and SAP to extend my SAP solution. However, I might have business-specific functionality requirements for my users that I need to build specific for my industry or for my business process. How do I do that? So let's talk a little bit about the architecture of how you can leverage some of this AI capability to extend your SAP solutions. So one way that you can do that is utilizing SAP's BTP platform. So if you're not familiar with SAP BTP, it is a tool set and a collection of tools developed by SAP for you to extend your SAP business processes with customizations, because they don't want you to go in there and make alterations if you can avoid it to your core ERP platform. They want you to build these extensions on BTP. Now, this is the reference architecture that we have for utilizing BTP with the Microsoft and Azure OpenAI LLMs. So with this, I can start building my own custom applications on BTP, which provide great value in terms of pre-built integrations to the SAP business processes and authorizations and all of those capabilities where SAP has built specific functionality for extending their SAP on BTP. But I can leverage it, as you can see down in the bottom right corner, with all of the Azure OpenAI LLMs, so that I can bring that AI capability directly to my SAP workload. This is also a very similar architecture to what Rima was showing behind the scenes with Joule. So a lot of the Joule functionality actually runs on those Azure OpenAI LLMs that you see down there in the bottom right-hand corner. Now, we recognize then, if I need BTP in order to do these extensions, that's why Microsoft has made significant investments in almost doubling our BTP footprint. So we recognize if BTP is the right way from an SAP point of view to extend your SAP solutions, we need to make sure that BTP is where you need to be, so that we have the footprint to help you do these extensions. So you can see here, over the next roughly 18 to 24 months, we're going to be roughly doubling our BTP footprint so that you can have the capabilities that you need. And within those locations where we're already up and running with BTP, we're significantly expanding all the functions and services available on that BTP so that you can so that you have the services that you need to build those business process extensions that you want. Now, let me show you a little bit of what this looks like. If I want to leverage BTP to build these kind of custom business functions utilizing Azure OpenAI. So in this case, we're going to have a scenario where vendors may send me emails about payments for purchases that I've made. And so maybe this is a shared services inbox with my AP organization where we need to go through and resolve issues with payments for components that were bought. So what you're going to see is an application where I have a shared inbox where vendors can send information about, hey, we haven't received payment for this invoice, or hey, the invoice payment was different than what we expected. And the LLM is going to go through read the details of that invoice, pull all the information forward, so read the details of the invoice out of the email, bring that forward into a summary for the end user, but in addition to that, because it's going to read the details of the invoice, pull the details of that, it will actually go into the SAP backend and pull what is the current status that we have for that invoice. Have we paid it yet? Did we not pay it? If we didn't pay it, is there a reason why, et cetera? So here you can see at the top the details of the email. As we move into the response preparation, it's going out there looking at the SAP system, pulling the details about that invoice, pulling whether we've paid it or not. And then down at the bottom, the LLM actually, oops, sorry, I'm going a little too fast for myself here. Down at the bottom, you can see the LLM has actually created a proposed response to the email that I received from that vendor. So once again, it's pulling the details about the invoices from the vendor, it's checking the status of those payments in the SAP system, and then based upon what it sees in the status, it's suggesting this is how I propose that we should respond back to that vendor. Now, you may say, hey, that sounds great, Robert, but my vendor doesn't put all those details in the email. They actually send attachments with, all right, come on. They actually send attachments in the email. All right, this is not working, sorry. They actually send attachments within the email with details, with details in a PDF. In that case, the system can actually read the details of that PDF and pull it out. Even though it's an attachment to the email, it can pull out those details. The other piece, sorry, we'll go back just a minute, catch up. So what you'll see, I don't know why the slide isn't responding right, but that's okay. Here you can see, once again, pulling in the suggestions from the communication, et cetera. If I go to my next email, in this case, we've got an attachment. It can pull through the attachment, find the details, and once again, check the status within the system and create the suggestions. Now, the last piece is, well, Robert, I've got a vendor who sends me information, but they're not located within the US. They actually send me emails in German. In this case, I can click a button. The LLM can translate all the German back and forth, the message from the vendor, as well as my response, can translate that back into English for me, and when I unclick, it will take it back to German. So even though I don't personally speak German, it can actually craft the response to the vendor in German, and I can then see what the English translation is and then decide if I want to send that forward. So that's an example of how I can use SAP's BTP to build custom scenarios utilizing Azure OpenAI. Now you may say, Robert, that's good, but I'm not an SAP developer. I don't know the SAP tools. I'm more comfortable working in the Microsoft tools. Are there options for me if I want to do the extensions there? And the answer is absolutely yes. So if I need to go out there and I need to build custom scenarios, and I prefer to use Microsoft tools, what I can utilize is the Microsoft Copilot, but from that I can do additional extensions based upon my own particular business process. And there's sort of two different ways you can do that. On the left-hand side, you can see one option is to utilize Copilot Studio, which is a nice, fully managed by Microsoft SaaS stack, where I can build those extensions if I want. But if I would prefer, I can go over to the right-hand side and use some more code-first tools where I have a little bit more control and more capabilities for customization. So you have control of whether you kind of want a low-code experience on the left with Copilot Studio, or you'd prefer to do a pro-code approach on the right with some of the Azure development tools. Now, let me go through and show you a little bit of what this can look like utilizing these development tools to build extensions onto SAP. So in this case, what we're going to have is we're going to have a customer service representative who has received a communication from their customer saying, hey, I haven't received my shipments yet. I put this order in a while ago. Why haven't I gotten this shipment yet? And so now what we're going to do is show how you can utilize these AI services to help that customer service rep better respond to the customer. So in this case, I'm in Teams. I've got an SAP Sales Order Copilot up at the top, and I'm going to just chat with that Copilot to resolve this issue. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the Copilot, hey, can you help me get information about orders for a particular customer? Copilot pops up with a chat window and says, sure. What customer would you like the information for? Here I could type in either the customer name or the customer number, and it's going to go to the SAP system, and the Copilot is going to pull all the orders for that customer. It's going to pull the customer's PO number, the customer's order number, as well as the products that they ordered. So in this case, the Copilot's like, hey, do you want to dig deeper into a particular order? And I say, yes, let me go into order 756. And the Copilot is going to go to the SAP system and pull the current status of that order out of the SAP system, which you can see up the top. So I can see they ordered 2 line items. Line item 10 is a bike 550. Line item 20 is a bike, I think that's 600 or 200 maybe. But in addition to that, it's going to go through all my emails and tell me not just what's the status, but why, what's going on. And so here I can click on one of those emails and I can see, hey, we had an issue with one of our facilities. There was a hurricane, the facility was damaged, they stopped shipping, a lot of product was damaged that we can't ship out to the customer. So now I don't just know the what's going on from SAP, but I know the why from all my email communications. In addition, I can see from my chat that the vendor can't supply additional product, right? That product is not available. They've had a shutdown in their factory. So now I'm going to ask the Copilot, hey, is there maybe an alternate product that might be a fit for that customer? So I go in there, say, hey, Copilot, is there another potential product that we could ship instead? I give it the order number that I'd like an alternative to. And now the Copilot is looking through the SAP Material Master, looking at the product that was originally ordered, looking at the looking through in the same product group, same product family, and finding an alternative based upon the product description, weight, size, and description. And from there, it suggests, hey, a potential alternative to the 550 bike is the 500. Now, I can go into, once again, ask the Copilot, hey, can you go in and update that SAP order? So not just reading out of SAP, but now updating back into my transactional system. Copilot says, sure, just give me the order number. I tell it the order number that I want to update. I tell it what product I would like to remove, which is the 550 bike. And then next, what new product do you want to exchange with, or what new product do you want on that order? I put the 500 bike, and I put my quantity of 20. And then I set submit, and it is actually going into the SAP system and updating that order. Now, the nice thing is, it's using that user ID for that order. So when I go in and do an audit, it is going to see the user ID as the person who is using Teams. So it's going to track who made that update to the order. And even though I did it through a bot in the Copilot, because I'm using Intra and I'm using single sign-on back and forth, it will create that sales order with the person chatting with the Teams bot. It will use that when it updates the sales order. Additionally, and we didn't show this part for time, but if that user asks the Copilot to do something that they're not authorized to do, because the Copilot reaches out to SAP utilizing that user's user ID, if they ask to do something that they're not authorized to, the Copilot, because it gets a message from SAP saying you're not authorized to do that, the Copilot will then return to the user, hey, you asked me for something and I'm not allowed to do that. So full end-to-end traceability and user authentication between the Copilot back to the SAP system. So these are some of the capabilities of things that you can utilize to extend your SAP business process to both read out of SAP, but also make updates into the back end. Now, these are examples of both with the vendor invoice read utilizing SAP BTP, as well as the customer sales order status check and update with Copilot Studio, are ways that you can utilize tools to go out there and update your SAP. Now, there's another sort of process that we can also talk about doing where now I'm going to utilize the Copilot functionality, but I'm going to use a Copilot with additional training and additional understanding of specific business processes. So now it's not just a generic Copilot, but is a Copilot that understands the types of business functions that my user might be involved in. So in this case, we have a Microsoft Copilot for Finance. So as you can see down here on the left, it has all the functionality with Copilot. It has the large language model. It has the grounding. It has the grounding with your graph data. It has all the protections of Microsoft around that. It has all the extensibility function with Copilot Studio. But in addition to that, it is bringing finance-specific functionality on top of that, an understanding of finance language, of finance business processes, so that you can call upon that Copilot to do some additional capabilities on top. So with that, we think we can bring a lot more productivity to the finance users for business processes like reconciliations, that sort of thing. The other thing is this can be utilized either within Excel, where the finance people love to spend 90% of their day, but also can be utilized within Outlook to do communications around finance, finance issues. So in just a moment, we're going to see an example of Copilot for Finance where I've got a business where one business unit is using SAP, maybe another business unit is using Dynamics. They send materials back and forth. And so one of the challenges that occur when that happens is you need to do that intercompany reconciliation so that a sale from this business unit on SAP to that business unit in Dynamics doesn't get double counted in revenue. So I need to eliminate the sales made between those two business processes or between those two entities, which is a challenging and time-consuming business process. So in this case, we're going to see a finance scenario where I'm going to bring those two capabilities, where I'm going to reconcile across both the SAP and non-SAP. And I'm going to turn off the audio here and just kind of walk you through it because we had some challenges with the demo just a moment ago. So in this case, you're going to log in, we're going to log in, and we're going to see a user, I believe the user's name is Devin, who is trying to do reconciliation between an SAP system and a dynamic system. So here you can see there are two tabs here. On the left-hand side, we have, on the left-hand tab, we have the sales data from SAP. On the right-hand side, we have a tab from Dynamics. Now, the challenge is the Dynamics data here, it's not kind of structured in a way that ties easily with SAP. You can see there are lines with blanks in there. It's combined the dollar amounts and the currency together. And so I want to make some formatting changes first so that then I can reconcile these two data sets together. So now what I've done is I've launched the Copilot for Finance. And now I can type down here in the bottom what I want, or I can just hit the mic button, and Devin can talk to the system and saying, hey, here's some purchase information that was exported from Dynamics. I need to reconcile it back with the finance data, but I need to do some cleanup of the columns. So I click on what column I want cleaned up. I give it explanations of, hey, I want you to break the currency unit of measure, the USD, apart from the dollar amounts, et cetera. And so I give those instructions to the Copilot. Now, what the Copilot is going to do is come back with an execution plan of here's what I think I need to do to reconcile these two slides together or these two tabs together based upon the information you gave me. And so it's going to walk through, Copilot is going to tell Devin, this is what I plan on doing to reconcile the two pieces back and forth. Now, Devin can click on any one of these steps. He can see the detailed activity that the Copilot is going to do based upon how it's been trained to read and interpret finance data. And Devin can either accept those steps as they are, or if Devin wants, he can go in and make adjustments to what the Copilot is proposing to do. So he can go through step by step of what we want to do. In this case, we're going to go in and tell it to run. And the system is going to go in there, make all those formatting changes, get rid of things that automatically eliminate. And then what it's going to do is compare the values from the Dynamics purchases against the SAP sales, and it's going to reconcile them, and it's going to tell Devin, hey, I eliminated all of these transactions that balance, but I found these transactions on the SAP side and these transactions on the Dynamics side that don't have a corresponding entry. So you need to dig a little bit deeper into that. Additionally, Devin can set this to run repeatedly so that Devin says, hey, we do intercompany elimination once a week. So I can go out there, have that agent run every week, so I don't have to come back into Excel. It will run for me and notify me of the results. Additionally, I can have those results shared with others within my team if I'm going to be out or we want to work on those collectively. So this is an example of how Copilot for Finance understands financial business processes and can augment the user to bring additional capabilities, not just to tell it how to do it, but actually it understands finance business processes and can help those finance users. Just to give you a little example of some of the functionality that's available with Copilot for Finance, we have reconciliation rules, report generation, all those pieces on the Excel side, as well as on the Outlook side, we have the ability to drive communication out to maybe if I'm reconciling with a customer AR or a vendor AP, I can also have Copilot help me generate the communication to those outside parties based upon the information that it finds in the retrieval process. So this is a little bit of an overview of some of the capabilities that you can drive with Copilot. Now, I know we talked about a lot of different Copilots for SAP, so I want to just kind of, as we get ready to close, I want to back up a little bit, talk about some of the pieces and just kind of make sure that you have visibility to those and you can kind of sort all of those in your head. Additionally, if you didn't get those QR codes earlier, you'll be able to snap some shots of the QR codes for some of the pieces that we talked about. So once again, when it comes to bringing AI to your SAP business processes, first up we had Rima talking about how you can use Microsoft Copilot with SAP Joule to drive end-to-end digital assistant business processes across all of your Microsoft estate as well as all of the SAP estate. You can use the best practices, knowledge, and development of both of those organizations building their own digital assistants for their own particular tools, but use that seamlessly across either tool and leverage the best of both organizations. So that's one approach, and there's the QR code if you want to sign up for the Joule Copilot. Additionally, Holger came out and talked about Copilot integration directly to S/4HANA Cloud. There are some other LOB applications as well that Copilot integrates to. So if you're interested in that, there's the QR code for how you can sign up there with SAP. Now, the third piece I talked about was the Copilot Studio, where you could go out there and build custom Copilots. And I showed that demo of the customer service rep who was going out there and interacting with Copilot to find out the status of an order with their customer. This QR code will actually take you to a blog with a link to the GitHub repository where you could go out there, download the code that was utilized in that demo, and apply it to your SAP sandbox next week, or maybe the week after Thanksgiving, depending. But you can actually go out there, pick up that code, and deploy it within your SAP system. And then finally, I showed you a little bit more finance-specific functionality with our Finance Copilot. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about Copilot for Finance, there's a link in the QR code there where you can get more details as well. So hopefully, from left to right, you've seen how you can use Copilot and Joule together to drive business process innovation. You saw Copilot for S4. You saw custom Copilots with Copilot Studio, and then the Finance Copilot. So a lot of different ways to utilize AI for your SAP environment. So hopefully this was helpful. You learned a little bit. Just one last QR code to throw at you. If you wouldn't mind ranking or providing feedback on the presentation so that we can make sure that we highlight those areas of most interest for you going forward. So thank you, everyone, for your time. Appreciate it. And thank you very much. Have a great day. Try get out there and make a snowman before the day is over.